This is ATN Blowout. ATN Blowout is a syndicated live program of the network. We hold conversation on special interest topics, news, events, and stories through correspondence reports, experts, opinions, and stakeholders analysis. Here are the summaries of today's news. Police arrest suspected meal racketeer. Police arrest suspected meal racketeer. In Edo State, we have Primate Ayodele advises Obaseki. In Abia State, Ohaneze decries beheading of LP Chieftain Maduka. In Enugu State, we have suspected gunman murder inspector. Osun State law gives Adele Ketende ultimatum to pay judges' allowances. In Kaduna State, we have clerics advising governors against division for personal gain. NCDC confirms 84 cholera deaths in 8 months. Deputy Speaker pledges distribution of intervention by NDDC. Reps Committee interacts with DG NYSC over kidnap. We'll be going on a short break, and when we're back, we'll introduce our guest. Stay on.
Every day, our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders, politics.
Nobody's ambition is what's the blood.
I have fought very firmly.
Natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
A world without tomatoes is like a string quartet without violins. Lauren Cohen, 1994 to 1992. Fruits and vegetables are a vital part of nutrition. One of such vegetables that have proven the nutritional value over time is tomato. Tomato is a vegetable commodity which originated in Western South America and Central America. It is consumed worldwide today. The edible berry part of the plant, Solarium lycoperiscum, is what we call tomatoes, also known as love apple and wolf's peach. Tomato in common parlance is treated as a vegetable, although botanically speaking, it is actually a fruit. Tomatoes are good antioxidants. The antioxidant lycopene has been linked to many health benefits such as purifying the blood, nourishing the skin, lowering cholesterol and reducing migraine. More so, it boosts immunity, lowers the risk of heart diseases, stone formation and cancer. This vegetable contains vitamin A, B, C, E and K. Other components are potassium, folate, carbohydrate, fiber and 95% water. Tomatoes are grown all times in the year with the help of greenhouse. However, they grow faster in temperate areas and take about 5 to 10 days to germinate. Nigeria is the largest producer of fresh tomatoes in sub-Saharan Africa and 13th in the world according to Google Reports 2021. The country produces 10.8% of fresh tomatoes in the region. Over the last decade, fresh tomatoes had grown by 25%, from 1.8 million tons to an estimated 2.3 million tons. Tomato farming in Nigeria is done predominantly in the northern region: Kano, Jigawa, Plateau, Borno, Kaduna, Gombe, Bauchi, Sokoto, Kebbi, Nasarawa, Zamfara and Kogi. These states have large plantations where the commodity is harvested. Bead sleek tomatoes are the common variety grown in the country. Its varieties are cherry tomatoes, grape tomatoes, Campari tomatoes, patio tomatoes, and Purendi wine tomatoes. Others are plum and Roma tomatoes, which are similar. The plum contains lesser amounts of seeds and water compared to other varieties. Tomato is a significant source of umami flavor, a basic taste in broth and cooked meals. It can be consumed in diverse ways. Cooked, put raw in salad and in drinks. If you do not want to have to deal with the lingering sour or edgy taste, go for the plum variety. It can be found in the Nigerian markets. Tomatoes grace a number of delicacies in Nigeria. It is used for chicken stew, beef stew, goat meat stew, fish stew, and just about any acceptable protein. Soups such as melon soup and okra have been served with tomato sauce. Vegetable sauce is yet another common delicacy that grows in sight and taste with moderate slices of the love apple. And of course, it can be sliced thinly for sandwiches and salads, used as appetizers or added to various pasta. Speaking of food preservation and consumption, it's commonly said that the fresher, the better, and this cannot be underestimated. But the toll on preservation issues have been ringing like a screeching bell. Refrigeration and drying remains the general and effective ways of preservation. Specifically, however, canning, oven drying or sun drying are other effective ways depending on choice of use. In Nigeria, tomatoes has not only provided investment opportunities and job creation, but it has also been a means of income to many farmers and traders alike. Consumers have also tried to home grow tomatoes, and this has saved them some monies. Foreign exchange earnings as tomatoes are exported have been handy for the development of other sectors. Tomatoes has always been a mainstay in the food industry. So vital it is that individuals, groups and government must be involved in its yield. Perhaps seek ways of improving its already colorful yield by supporting related research and ensuring regular production and availability for the growing population.
Every day.
All right, good to have you back on ATN. Good to have you back on the ATM Blowout, everyone. And now let's get on with the stories we have for you this morning. Security operatives of the Rivers State Police Command have arrested 3 persons suspected to be engaged in national identity number racketeering in Port Harcourt. The suspects were nabbed by a team of policemen at the entrance of the National Identity Management Commission along a bar road in the state's capital. The operatives, numbering about 4, arrived in the area in a blue-color private saloon car, had highlighted from their vehicle and swooped on the roadside acclaimed agents. The raid followed complaints about the activities of the suspect, who posed as agents of the federal agency unknown to the public that they had ulterior motives, while some of the roadside acclaimed agents who were seen at the entrance of the commission claimed that they sell NIN registration forms due to lack of employment. It was also gathered that those arrested were pleading with the police to allow them to operate. Meanwhile, a source at the Port Harcourt NIMC office who spoke on condition of anonymity said the men usually come there on a daily basis, posing as agents, saying sometimes they swindle unsuspected members of the public visiting the facility. Spokesperson of the State Command, Grace Iringekoko, is yet to make comments on the matter. I saw this story and I said to myself, I think this is long overdue. I say it's long overdue because if you remember that during the period where the NIN registration was going on, this was a norm. I remember walking into one of the NIN offices and one of those, their sublets. So I said, I want to register my NIN. And the guy said, okay, I should pay him 10,000 naira. No, he started with 25,000 naira. Would I start negotiating? Yeah, to register. You know, it was a big business at that point. Yes. I think they had some of these accredited centers where people were supposed to work in and all of that. So the guy was like, I should give him 25K. I looked at him. The other lady who started said, they even doing it for 30K. That's even what he did. That she's surprised that they are charging me 20. I'm like, okay, so I should give you the 30. I said, okay, I don't have now. Let me go. And I said, okay, I should come and do 25. Something in me just said, hold on, I even negotiate for that, see how far this goes. And I did. I came with a friend. So he had also done his own. He did in their office long ago. So he was insisting I should go and do mine and all of that. So that was how it went out for that. So, and I said to the guy, so what's the last? And I said, okay, I should bring 15. We beat it down to 15. That is somewhere around the Rumasi area. And then we continue, Ubunabali area. So we continued until we got to, Ubunabali is in Port Harcourt, Rivers State anyway. So we continued until it got to 10,000 naira. Wow. He said, that's the least he can go. He now got angry. Yeah, he now got angry and like, I beg, madam, I beg. and I smiled, and I stood up, and I left. But my friend was already sending, he was seated, but he was like sending me a message, like, let's leave, I beg, these people are criminals. Yes. So, and I smiled, I left. And this is actually the deal around all of those their agents. I don't know how much they sold, they got the equipment for at the point. I don't know why that was that expensive. But here is my thing about this particular arrest, why I said it's long overdue. I ended up registering for my NIN. I only gave, I was in an MTN office. I only gave them 500 naira for the printout. That was the only thing I did. In fact, when they confirmed everything, I left, and then they decided that, what was that thing this guy said now, that in 24 hours or so. I even tried to get it activated, but it didn't work. And then I just abandoned it. I don't even know when in fact, it was a colleague. We went to do something in Saspa one day, and then, okay, let me see if I can get Airtel line. I needed an Airtel line. And the Prince Ajibo was like, okay, why don't you type this to get it? And I said, I don't even think my name is active because I just abandoned it since then. So, but he now did something in my phone, typed a code, and then my name showed up. And that's been it. So here's my point. This is long overdue. I'm glad that we've been able to swoop on them. But is that the solution? And I'm asking now again, why do we have a situation where, why is NIN registration a big deal? Why can't just NIN make announcement that those who can't come to the office can go to any of the telecommunication? Why don't you empower all the telecommunication offices? Even the big phone shops. That can become an arrangement with them to say from the government authorizing them to give them what they need. So people can just walk in there, register their name.
You know, that was actually the argument when this whole thing started. You know, people were coming up with that idea that since we have SIM cards, we have our lines, and they're definitely already registered, it could also make it faster to access and secure your NIN from there. And then, but when you look at the news on ground, it's really been a big business. Really. Yeah. It's been a big business because I remember I did mine in Lagos, and we also had to pay like 5K each. I took my family, and we had to go do that then because there was this tension, there was this kind of pressure and need to get it done. Yeah. You know, it's funny that even the suspects, when arrested, we're still pleading with the police to please allow them operate.
Operate as what?
As what? You know, so, I mean, it's funny to tell you that it has gone way beyond what can be handled. And then, why? If they're really out to make the arrest, that is definitely not the only spot they are operating. There's been a whole lot of racketeering of name everywhere. It's a big business now. Yeah. And another thing is, it's how do you certify? How can you authenticate that the one you've gotten is the original?
Is original.
Yeah, because the one I got has this inscription at the back of the slip.
Okay, you have a slip or a card?
Not even a card. Not even a card. It's a slip. But yet it has an inscription at the back. We're supposed to go for the card later.
What did you get? What did you register for yours?
Lagos.
Which of the offices is it in?
It was in a local government.
Okay.
Yes, a local government. I went to a local government within Festac, and that's where I got it done. You know. So the point is, afterwards, you would see that the ones that were now being done for people had that. They did not have this inscription at the back. So how are we sure that but people don't really care. All they are bothered with is, I need to have my name. You know, you even try to see how you can activate it. Most people don't even care. It's a big problem. There are so many places. I wonder why that was the only spot they had to go for the arrest.
Well, that's the main office in Port Harcourt. That's the NIMC office in Port Harcourt. But like you said, aside of even at the arrest, for me, this shouldn't be a big deal. This should be something that anyone can walk into, just like you walk into the bank, and then you get your register for, if you have your entry, having an account for the first time, register for your BVN and all of that. So my concern is, why is this such a big deal? You know how the threats came out then, if you don't do this, it's going to be this. If you don't do ABC, this is going to be this. At the end of the day, nothing happened. A lot of people didn't register. A lot of people still don't have their name. And nothing came out of all of that threat.
It's really disturbing.
So now that we are back, exactly, I know, I totally agree with you. Now that we are back to the point where we say, okay, this is what we are doing, can we now go back to saying, let it be, just like we're talking about voter registration. A lot of children are turning 18, have turned 18 since after the presidential election. Why can't INEC just open their doors, and why can't the state or the government make it compulsory? As soon as you turn 18, you must have your voter card. Like you make it compulsory that you must have your name. So everyone have this. So even if you're getting admission in school, this should be your national identification registration number or card becomes, and voter card becomes one of the things you're required to have, because it's a civic responsibility.
So in other words, it should be a continuous process.
That's my point, yes. It should be a continuous process so that with all of this can be avoided. Just so that people know that if you're coming to work during the voter registration, one of the things they did at that point was some companies, even some churches. I remember the Roman Catholic Church who was saying, before you get in for the mass, you must show your voter card.
That was how serious it was.
So I think we can go back to that being that serious now by saying, if you are going to register for, you're going to school, you're going to be employed, just like you ask for a resume. Now, do you have this? Because I know that if you don't have your BVN, you cannot get salary in some companies.
Yes.
Because you need to have that to have a bank account.
Yes.
But companies pay salary into bank accounts. Yeah. So same way, because that's a personal thing. The salary is what they earn. Same way, their voting is their right to vote and all of that. Same way, it is important for you to have your national identification number. So if NIN is going to be what will give us a comprehensive database, for instance, I honestly want to suggest that before it becomes a prerequisite, that before you write JAM, you write WAEC, or you must have your NIN. You must have your national identification number. It becomes part of what would not make sure that you register for your exams. You make sure that you have your voter card. You understand what I'm trying to say? Before you're getting admission into university, okay, because there's a certain age, of course, where you're supposed to get that. So a lot of kids are turning 18. I also want to say that we're using this opportunity to talk to state governors to say, hey, we don't have to wait for national population census before you actually know the number of people who turned 18 in a state. All you need to do is set up a registration center. Let people go there to support what the National Population Agency Commission is doing at the state level. Make it compulsory as you turn 18, as in go and register. Let a form of like a state. When we say, okay, we keep saying River State is the voting strength for River State is 2 million, is this, is that, and all of that. How sure are we? How sure are we that this is actually what it is? Look at the last election in River State. I don't even think all the results collected was up to that. So what is the reason for that? I honestly say that when it comes to database, if NIN is what is going to give us comprehensive database, I think we should just begin to look at that, make it compulsory, honestly.
Well,
that's what I think.
So you're absolutely correct. The thing again is being organized about the whole process, because it's really a process. The logistics, but it's necessarily something that has to be done. When NIN started, it was something most people didn't pay attention to. Most times it seems like people are kind of taken aback before they get involved in the things they ought to do, especially when it becomes you get under pressure. So it's really a process, and the logistics involved. I totally agree with you. If the government, the state government, and all of that should look into this and make it compulsory. Like you said, so many teenagers turning into 18, they need to have this. Even if it's not going to be compulsory in admission, they need to have it, because it's certainly a good means of identification. You can never tell when it will be of help to you.
Oh, true. I totally agree with you.
All right, moving on to the next point of discussion this morning. Leader of INRI Evangelical Spiritual Church, Primate Elijah Ayodele, has advised Edo State Governor Godwin Obaseki against fighting his deputy, Philip Shaibu, to avoid losing the state to opposition party. He revealed that Obaseki's fight with his deputy would ruin the chances of the People's Democratic Party in the coming election. Statement signed by his media aide, Osho Oluwatosi, the prophet advised the governor to be more diplomatic in addressing the issues between him and his deputy instead of washing dirty linen in public. He urged both of them to find ways to settle their differences. Well, this again is beginning to look like when people have to settle their disputes. You know, we can't rule out disputes in life, misunderstandings. And you're aware that the deputy has also apologized.
Oh, yeah.
He has apologized, and it's quite commendable. But what is the way forward from this? Are we going to have him return back to his office, the government, the government site? At the government site is going to be returned back.
You know,
that he has apologized.
I just don't understand where you're coming from. But here is what it is for me. I'm not someone who is into apologies. I like to apologize when I feel remorse about something, when I'm convinced that I did something wrong, or when I have to apologize because I know that someone is hurt and I'm not sure why that person is hurt. Now, all this apology demand and all of that, you said something very critical. Okay, now that Shaibu has apologized, is he going to take him back to government house? I don't know. Well, here is what it is for me. What is Shaibu apologize? See, we enslave people for no reason. If Shaibu misappropriated funds under him, if there are contracts under him as a deputy governor, listen, these people are meant to be serving the states. Shaibu is not Obaseki's slave. What brought them together is that they came together to serve the states, the people of Edo State. Obaseki is his superior. There are rules of engagement. Please, what are these known rules of engagement that Shaibu failed? Shaibu never sold his destiny to Obaseki to say, because you're the governor, I will not drink water until you ask me to drink water. This man is a grown man. Before you met him, he already had a life. He was a known comrade. Yeah. So all he did was agree to be your deputy for political reasons because he wants to be a governor, he wants to be in politics. That doesn't mean that you subject a grown man to this kind of forceful public apology. It's not necessary. Going back to the question, so now that he has apologized, is he going to take him back to government house?
Yes.
We enthrone oppression. We enthrone subjugation to a point where it becomes too much of a mess. You have just told Obaseki, the Edo traditional leaders, everyone who insisted without giving this man the right of having a choice. Yeah. He didn't say he wasn't going to be loyal to the remaining months they have as governor, the governor and deputy governor to Edo people. He never said that. He kept saying, I'm still loyal, but I want to be a governor. Mm-hmm. Why is Shaibu's part not being heard?
Why does it look like he has to suffer for that?
That's my point. Why is everyone's, okay, now he has apologized. We're now waiting to see if he's not going to allow him to go into government house, come back to God. Because the whole thing is becoming too much of a ridicule.
It's really shameful. It's embarrassing because the deputy governor has a unified ticket as you do to serve the state.
Yes.
And so, I mean, what...
You subjugate him, yes. And now you've gone as far as removing him, and now he clearly didn't get the letters at when it was released to him. Of course, he must be aware that they've made plans to take him out of government house, but of course, he also needed to resume duty, and then on resumption of duty, he also needs to be, he cannot just walk away without having an official document that says this is what. People allow men like Obaseki tear down the walls of the government, make government look like it's a one-man party because he's in power, whatever he wants. And at the end of the day, when another person comes in, this is a precedent that Obaseki have set, that a deputy governor can be treated however the governor wants, and now nothing will happen. Now that they have pushed Shaibu to the point on his knees, and he's now begging, please forgive me. My mother would die, you won't come for the burial. My father would die, or whatever it is that was intended to achieve. Because I'm still trying to feel like in your own those states where the deputy governor is being accused of misappropriating funds under him while the governor was away on medical leave. His staff, people working under him, they were rude to the governor, and he did nothing. To me, that is what deserves this kind of, treatment. Yes. Because you have insulted the Edo people by not controlling, the Ondo people, sorry, by not controlling your staff. And of course, the money he's been alleged to have, the 300 million he's in buying an SUV or something. And of course, the money he took from the palliative that was given to the people, all of that are corruption. That's misappropriation. That is something that the people should not allow to happen. So if the assembly says if he cannot give account of that, they are going to impeach him, I totally support the assembly. Yes. But that is different. Entirely. That is different from this. Why are we tearing our institutions down? Everybody thinks it's about Shaibu. Shaibu is just one man. God can decide to call him home right now and he's gone. But it's about the office he occupies. Yes. And every time we disrespect an office, it's not the occupier, like I said. I'm seated down here, and God can try to call me home, and I'm out. I mean, we don't even have power to terminate anything. It could be a fly that entered into my nose or something, and before jogged, and she's gone. It's not about me. It's not about the person in that office. It is about the office that is being disrespected. Yes. And I say this clearly to say that the Edo people, what they have allowed to happen to the office of the deputy, is going to come back to haunt them. The traditional rulers, the Christian, the religious leaders who are allowing that today, it is because Shaibu is not your son. So it doesn't matter to you. You must subjugate him, you must make him bow in shame because he's not what to be a human. He doesn't have what it takes. Sometimes, Mesela, what do they call loyalty? Loyalty shouldn't be to the person. Loyalty should be to the office. And if my action does not disrupt activities of that office, I don't know why my loyalty will be in question.
The problem is, how do you separate the two? The loyalty to the office and loyalty to the person in the office, which is definitely superior to you.
I can answer that. It's very simple. So you are in an office, and then you're asking me to do as the one in charge of that office at the time, and then you're asking me, for instance, to organize girls for you. You're asking me to misappropriate funds. Okay. You're asking me to do things that is disloyal to the state. Okay. I don't have to agree with you, even though you are the one who is in that office.
Even when I'm your superior?
Yes, I don't have to agree with you to do that which is disloyal to the general interest of that office. But my loyalty to you will be when you are moving in the line, in the direction where that office should go, I must support you 150% if it's possible to ensure that we both collectively and as a whole we succeed. But what we see is that people want people to be loyal to them and not to the office they occupy. And now the populace of Edo people have encouraged this to the point that it's become too ridiculous. So he has apologized. So let's see if you take him back. We are not ready for what democracy is because if we understand that democracy is actually service to the people and not to those who are in that place. So we need to begin to check our actions. So tomorrow, if another governor comes in and says, I don't like Vivian's face as my deputy, I need her out, and people will say, like the governor, he has all the power no, having all the power should not make you subjugate another person, but rather when that person begins to show you that they know more than you, and even when you know that they don't know more than you, you begin to take action. But when it has nothing to do with the office, because I'm trying to see, what did Obaseki do?
What did Shaibu?
Sorry, what did Shaibu do to offend Edo people? What So because he's your deputy, he doesn't have the right to desire to be a governor.
Interestingly, this is without to them knowing, because if there's at a level where you know the repercussions or what you're doing, the other negative side to it, you would tend to soft pedal. This is definitely going to somehow affect the position of PDP.
Yeah, and that's what the primate is literally pointing at.
Because it's like giving more grounds to the opposition party with all of this going on.
Yeah.
So the earlier they nip it in the bud, the better for them.
Wish them the very best. In fact, not even them. We wish those people the very best, because when you start fighting the way they are fighting in other states or the way PDP is fighting, you know the PDP. I think Dan Obi, the PDP national South national leader, did come out at some point to say, "Hey, you guys, sheath your swords. Yeah. This is not making sense anymore." Now the primates have also come in to say, if you want to win in 2024, fix this. So let's hope that he takes him back. Let's see if he takes him back to government house. Interesting times ahead. But let's get into Abia State. The Secretary General of the Chidi Ibe-led faction of Ohaneze Ndibo worldwide, Mazo Okechukwu Isiguzoro, has condemned the murder and beheading of a chieftain of the Labour Party from Umunnochi local government area of the state, as Mr. Zachary Maduka, by unknown assassins. Isiguzoro, an ex-Ohaneze youth leader, said this in a statement on Wednesday in Aba. He urged Southeastern governors and security agencies to improve on intelligence gathering and surveillance to fight crime in the region, while urging critical stakeholders, every citizen of the vast wealth of experience, with the vast wealth of experiences and expertise towards addressing insecurities and other merits of challenges impeding our efforts to attain economic greatness and enhance critical infrastructure development in every part of Nigerian society for good of the people. Isiguzoro said there should be an urgent need to fashion out a workable security system to shroud an effect on effectiveness and efficiency. Well, this conversation, this issue, the beheading of Chief Zachary Maduka, is one that I find quite disturbing. And I say disturbing because nobody has claimed responsibility for that till date. So is it that the known or unknown gunmen are now scared and now work in isolation? And I'm still trying to figure out how these people came in and carried out this act. How late in the night was it? Remember, this man was in a beer parlor, in a bar where he was drinking the joint. So I'm trying to figure out how dark was it that nobody could make out the vehicle or the car or any individual from that. I'm yet to hear of arrests being made by the Abia State Police Command. I don't know if they've done that, but I'm yet to see any of that yet. And then it would also be nice to hear the Labour Party National address this issue. I'm yet to also find, maybe they have, but I have not seen one. And the reason why I said it's important for the police and the Nigerian, the Labour Party to come into this is very simple. Now, we're not talking about just anyone. We're not talking about just, this was a chieftain. And of course, I'm also here to have the community. He was a community leader representing the diaspora and the representative in the Umunnochi community. So it's important for them to actually, let's have a background. Was he an evil man and was this a vengeance? Some people coming to avenge something he's done in the past? Or is this an outright assassination? What exactly happened to Chief Zachary Maduka? You know, I find it very uncomfortable when such heinous crimes are committed, and we need to begin to figure out from our head what exactly could have happened. How did it happen? I find it disturbing because it doesn't make anyone feel comfortable. This was how a lot of people have refused to go. Part of some of the reasons why a lot of people have refused to travel to Imo State during the Christmas. Yes. Same with Anambra. The mother of, till today, the guys who murdered Chief Akunyili, Dr. Akunyili. We don't know what has happened to them. Those who murdered the rep member, cut off his head and put in the market square in Anambra State. There are too many ungodly crimes. And we can't just be saying this is IPOB and ESN or non-God. Come on. Look at what happened in Imo State a few days ago. That was it on Wednesday morning. We can't, listen, now, innocent people are paying for the price for this. How do you, listen, I don't know what part of me will be comfortable to accommodate some of these things to make it okay. Whether you like it or not, I hope the community people will realize that this man's death will send a shockwave to the minds of a lot of persons. Anyone traveling home right now will have to be looking at their back. Let me be sure that this is not going to end my life. And that is not a safe place mentally to put anyone. So I don't know if there is any way you think that what has these people done that can justify some of what is it about the Southeast? If you say it's in Nnamdi Kanu, this man has called his people and asked them to sheathe their sword. And there's been relative peace since then. So these killings that is going on, from the police murdering people in Enugu State to all of this going on, what do you think? How do you think one can literally explain all of this?
The concurrent reoccurrence of all of this is more than disturbing. It has left the whole citizen, in fear. The indigenes are really living in fear, even with all the advice that has come from the governor and the police to be calm and all that. That's not the point. The thing is, like you asked, we don't even know what this man has done. And then, if whatever he did was so, if it was something that was like a crime, was it enough to warrant killing him in that manner, in that way? It's like this is now a trend, and one thing with atrocities of this nature is that it's hard to stop. It's very hard to stop, except something decisive, something very strong is done. And how do we go about this? We have to get back to the security agencies. How strong are the system of our security agents? How do we go about, stopping this? It's a serious menace. From the SP Bako ambushing of Ahoda East DPO that was murdered, cut in pieces and bits, and like you said, it's not just something that is done within a few minutes, So where are we heading in all of this? Where are we heading in all of this? I also think that, I'm thinking out loud. Is there a way we can get these people to reason together, whoever these people are? The same way the unrest that was in Bayelsa some years back, in
Niger Delta
region, we got these people to reason together on the table.
That was exactly what Barrister Mike Karipo, our guest on Blowouts on Wednesday, basically the government needs to bring these people to the drawing table. What exactly is your grievance? Why are you doing these things? And until, I know, of course, there are criminal elements before now there, but it wasn't this audacious. No. It wasn't this audacious. So we sincerely hope that somehow, one of the things that Iziguzoro pointed out in his piece is the need to have a centralized security system. Again, it's a call to the Southeast governors. Are they going to listen? Are they going to have a centralized system that controls the security in the Southeast? Because no law stops them from doing that. We don't want to wait until it becomes like the Northeast, where people have to be paying insurgents or hoodlums or terrorists, monthly or weekly, that they come in to collect tax like the government, and now people are living in fear. People cannot go to their farm and all of that. So we hope that somehow this call gets to the Southeast governors, because we come on. there are so many digital devices. There are so many. We're living in a global village. So the access to, tools, mechanisms to fight crime, they are not limited at all. If you look at the issue in Imo State, like we're discussing yesterday, a call was put across to the police command, where they now sent out these troops to go to whatever they were going to chase after the criminals. Who was the person who called you? How can you say you cannot trace that? This is what brings us back to the issue of the NIN we were talking about them. I think we've come to the point with all of these pockets of audacious threats, security threats that we see across. But I used to say years ago, how do Boko Haram get to drop their information? Who did they give it to? Okay, let's even say they give it to a bike man who gets to the, maybe, gates, ATN gate, Morrison Communication gate, and dumps it at the gate, and someone picks it and says, oh, this is a tape. Oh, this is a CD. Oh, this is a flash drive. Before you can even pick up that flash drive to put it into your system, you should be sure that that is not going to give you out. Because how do you, that's the only sane way. I think maybe they just come in, dump something and escape, and then the media organization picks it up and begins to edit. Boko Haram said this person said. There are people with contact to these people. A typical example is the man they are holding down right now, Tukomamau, who was one of the negotiators for the Kaduna train crash victims, those who were abducted. Yeah. He's still in DSS custody with different allegations, one after the other. The last time I heard about his news, we learned that he was meant to give, what is it called now? That they want to speak, but in the trial, they don't want witnesses to show their faces. I'm like, that is not even our interest. We want to know what he knows. In a sane country, you will bring that guy, you will not even make it public that you're after him or you're using him. You will codedly bring him in, and then he will be the one to go in there as a spy to bring you information about where these guys are, what to do with them. But you're not doing that. You're not doing that. You're not making him out to be the enemy. Chef Gumi, for instance, is one of the people, for instance, who knows where these guys are. So you cannot readily tell me that Ima Powerful, for instance, let's say they are the ones they are suspecting to do. Ima Powerful releases information all the time in the news. We don't have it for the Ima Powerful space. We don't know what he looks like. Ima Powerful could be you, it could be me. We don't know what he looks like. I've never even heard his voice once to know what he sounds like. But somebody is more powerful. I'll be quoting him whenever, as IPOP spokesperson, yes, and all of that. So I honestly think that our security operatives need to do better than they are doing right now. Let's take a short break. Everyone will come back to you after the break.
Every day, our lives are changed by history,
We are one people, all of us.
leaders, politics,
Nobody's ambition is what's the blood.
I have fought a very firmly.
natural occurrence, war, and the world economy.
I belong to everybody, and I belong to nobody.
ATN covers it all on ATN Politics today.
people into the country illegally. That is amazing.
A world without tomatoes is like a string quartet without violins. Lauren Cohen, 1994 to 1992. Fruits and vegetables are a vital part of nutrition. One of such vegetables that have proven their nutritional value over time is tomato. Tomato is a vegetable commodity which originated in Western South America and Central America. It is consumed worldwide today. The edible berry part of the plant, Solarium lycoperiscum, is what we call tomatoes, also known as love apple and wolf's peach. Tomato in common parlance is treated as a vegetable, although botanically speaking, it is actually a fruit. Tomatoes are good antioxidants. The antioxidant lycopene has been linked to many health benefits such as purifying the blood, nourishing the skin, lowering cholesterol and reducing migraine. More so, it boosts immunity, lowers the risk of heart diseases, stone formation and cancer. This vegetable contains vitamin A, B, C, E and K. Other components are potassium, folate, carbohydrate, fiber and 95% water. Tomatoes are grown all times in the year with the help of greenhouse. However, they grow faster in temperate areas and take about 5 to 10 days to germinate. Nigeria is the largest producer of fresh tomatoes in sub-Saharan Africa and 13th in the world according to Google Reports 2021. The country produces 10.8% of fresh tomatoes in the region. Over the last decade, fresh tomatoes had grown by 25%, from 1.8 million tons to an estimated 2.3 million tons. Tomato farming in Nigeria is done predominantly in the northern region: Kano, Jigawa, Plateau, Borno, Kaduna, Gombe, Bauchi, Sokoto, Kebbi, Nasarawa, Zamfara and Kogi. These states have large plantations where the commodity is harvested. Bead sleek tomatoes are the common variety grown in the country. Its varieties are cherry tomatoes, grape tomatoes, Campari tomatoes, patio tomatoes, and Purendi wine tomatoes. Others are plum and Roma tomatoes, which are similar. The plum contains lesser amounts of seeds and water compared to other varieties. Tomato is a significant source of umami flavor, a basic taste in broth and cooked meals. It can be consumed in diverse ways: cooked, put raw in salad and in drinks. If you do not want to have to deal with the lingering sour or edgy taste, go for the plum variety. It can be found in the Nigerian markets. Tomatoes grace a number of delicacies in Nigeria. It is used for chicken stew, beef stew, goat meat stew, fish stew, and just about any acceptable protein. Soups such as melon soup and okra have been served with tomato sauce. Vegetable sauce is yet another common delicacy that grows in sight and taste with moderate slices of the love apple. And of course, it can be sliced thinly for sandwiches and salads, used as appetizers or added to various pasta. Speaking of food preservation and consumption, it's commonly said that the fresher, the better, and this cannot be underestimated. But the toll on preservation issues have been ringing like a screeching bell. Refrigeration and drying remains the general and effective ways of preservation. Specifically, however, canning, oven drying or sun drying are other effective ways depending on choice of use. In Nigeria, tomatoes has not only provided investment opportunities and job creation, but it has also been a means of income to many farmers and traders alike. Consumers have also tried to home-grow tomatoes, and this has saved them some monies. Foreign exchange earnings as tomatoes are exported have been handy for the development of other sectors. Tomatoes has always been a mainstay in the food industry. So vital it is that individuals, groups and government must be involved in its yield. Perhaps seek ways of improving its already colorful yield by supporting related research and ensuring regular production and availability for the growing population.
Every day our lives are changed by history.
We are one people, all of us.
Leaders,
Ibadan-based lawyer Mutalubi Adebayo San has given Ogun State Governor Ademola Adeleke a 10-day ultimatum to pay arrears of allowances owed retired and serving judges in the state or face legal action. Adebayo, in a statement signed by himself, said that should Adeleke refuse to yield to the request by September 30, legal action to compel him to pay up would commence in a court of competent jurisdiction on October 3. The lawyer also noted that besides the arrears of outstanding allowances, he would also claim interest and aggravated damages in respect of the unpaid entitlements. The statement also said, take further notice that he will also claim interest and aggravated damages in respect of those unpaid allowances because the acts of the government of Osun State is refusing to pay same over the years amount to sheer callousness, recklessness, disregard for rule of law, indecent and unfair. However, the spokesperson to the governor, Olawale Rashid, is yet to react to the statement.
All right, we'll just get to the very next story in our list. Christian and Muslim clerics has cautioned 36 state governors against diverting the 2 billion naira given to each state by the federal government to cushion the effect of fuel subsidy removal of the Nigerian citizens. They gave the advice in Kaduna while charging governors to ensure that the
My name is Imam Hussein Makadiola from Muslim Peace Network, MPN. In fact, I'm very, very happy today to be part of this great meeting that we have.
The economic hardship citizens of the country are going through cannot just
it's a great nation. Nigeria is a loving nation. Nigeria is a caring nation. We have a lot of things. We have a lot of our leaders who are very passionate, who are very sincere. So, where do we
says fairness, equity, and justice should be done ensuring the palliative to vulnerable Nigerians, urging government to punish any officials caught diverting what belongs to the poor masses for personal gain to be dealt with. They also appealed to government at all levels to provide mobilities, functional health care services, and others that will serve as long-term palliatives to Nigerians than mere bags of rice that will sustain them for a while. Here is the report.
100 trailers of rice, it will still be diverted. At the end of the day, many people in the community will not even get off to 1 mudu of rice. So what palliative are you talking about? You're just promoting another form of criminal, stealing or promoting hunger in another form. So I think government is supposed to think of what do we do to change the lives of our citizens? What do we do to improve the welfare of the community? Than all these things. But asking someone to buy grains and share to people, how many times have the grain really go to the people? The grains will still come. We knew what happened in the previous administration, and some people in Nigeria were benefiting. Where are they? And we still have those people begging all over the street. We still have people. See, of course, you receive every day from people who will tell you that they didn't eat yesterday. They don't even have 1 naira, so they just need 1,000 naira. 500 naira is all they are looking for. And you're talking about palliative. What is that? So can we find something that will better the citizens, better the community, better our people, and then we see how life will go? I really do not want you to give me rice. I just want you to give me an. Instead of sharing food and sharing things, make sure that certain basic things that people need are there. Can you imagine that in the next 6 months, everybody who wants to go to work in Kaduna will not pay 1 dime. He will just go out of his house and there will be a vehicle to take him to work to and fro. He's not going to pay a kobo. The economic empowerment of that person who goes to work without paying money will be higher than the palliative that is shared. Imagine that people who fell sick will no longer buy drugs in the next 8 months or 6 months. Whether if you are sick, when you just go to hospital, as far as you have a particular identification, you'll be given medication. The money and others.
To advise our various governors is to fear God. They should not distribute what they are, this palliative into us. Some community will say, we thank God. The government is doing well when they are not doing well. They should fear God. They should fear God. They should not distribute this palliative in a biased way. They should do, federal governments have done their own parts, but it's left to the governor to body fear. They should feel impact of this palliative. Whether if it is 1 mudu, This is one model. Let them feed. They should fear God. All these things. But if there is, the government puts punishment in place, I'm telling you, it will not be like this. They should punish those who are doing this. They should arrest them and punish them. That's the only way we can move forward to advise our various governors.
The conversation about palliative distribution and the fear and concern that Nigerians across board have about it cannot be overstated. And the reason is very simple. Nigerian people, over time, meant for the state for both use and use it for their personal gains. And now, so it is only natural that Nigerians will be worried that, hey, is this going to work? Is this palliative going to amount to anything? Is it going to get to us? For instance, I was asking you the other day, bestseller, where are they distributing that of Rivers State? Let me see if I can go get my 2 cups of rice or 1 cup of gari. But I don't know where they are distributing it. I don't even know if Rivers State have received the grain. Now, we are asking, just like they are the cleric and the other stakeholders in Kaduna State are saying, this palliative being distributed, we hope that the government realizes that it's not for them, that it is for the poor, and that there is need for them to maximally put it into good use. Because if for instance, you give a family of 4 2 cups of rice, I don't know what that is going to do for them. Now, the government also owe the people responsibilities. The 2 billion we got, this is all, the lack of accountability across board is nothing new in this country. But can people have a face, can these governors have a human face, and actually ensure that, like what Zulum did with the Borno State governor, that man has really stood out over time to be sure that he is indeed governing Borno State. And it's applaudable. We need to see a template. What are you doing? How are you doing it? When media begin to quote these governors now, or maybe write stories that shows that they are not doing any, you suddenly see them coming out to attack the media. But right now, we've been asking, this palliative you receive, this money you receive, what is the plan? Remember, it's not your personal money. When I mean personal money, it's not your normal state allocation. It's actually money meant for the people. How are you going to distribute it? What are you going to do about it? And if you see the image there, you will realize that this is simply not what this should be. Why are you buying noodles for people? Why are you buying yam for them? Isn't it safer to, distribute the grain given to you? Then if this one is going to get to them at 1,500, for instance, at least map out the poorest of the poor. Send people, if you don't have the data already, send people into some of these communities. They know that those indigent people, get to know what is the number of these people. So we have 2 billion. How do we ration this money into these families now? Get into people. Look, let's say you get into a community, assign people. There are stakeholders in every community. Get the names of these people. Go to, the indigent families. Get them out. You get what I'm trying to say? Get account details. Get whatever you need to get. And then speak to the press. This is what we have done, and this is how we're distributing this. Because it is better for them to go to the market, buy this thing. For instance, a family may not need a tuber of yam. They might need their 1,500 or 2,000 naira to make the berries of soup or whatever they can and feed themselves for 1 or 2 days.
Maybe because they have gari.
Exactly.
A lot of
or they have their own yam, for instance. They may just need the money to do something else. So why don't you distribute the grain? The people need this money more than any other thing you want to give to them. The government already released grain. Why are you buying more grain?
Well, this ab initio was to help cushion the effect of fuel subsidy.
Oh, yeah.
But the way it's going, I'm wondering, when is Nigeria ever going to get something done right?
I have no idea.
When? At least, we can say that at this point in time, for the reasons for which these things have been made available, okay? The logistics, the planning, everything, people are out to say thank you. But so far, so good. I haven't heard anyone coming to say, well, in my own community, the palliatives were well, shared. We've gotten this, and this is what we have. It's just been from one struggle to the other. When are we going to get things properly done? Right. Now, this is 2 billion. We're talking about 2 billion naira given to each state. That money is enough. It's supposed to be enough to an extent. When it is well structured, the planning, you get the census, if you have to even go to the communities. You do this because this is something that lives after the now. Mm-hmm. We forget that, when we have opportunities to do something right, it speaks after you. But why is it that we're more concerned? It seems like, because people are already complaining, even getting to work this morning, that's the topic of the day. In the cab, everywhere, that's the topic. And some people are yet to get a bit of the palliative. It hasn't even got into some communities, And then the federal government definitely has done what it feels best to do for the citizenry. And the rest is left for us at the level, the state level, the local government level. The rest is left for us to do. The way these things are shared, is it even possible that the whole of it will be shared? Is it possible? Because some people might be tempted. Is there any possibility of being tempted not to administer the whole of this palliative? Is it possible?
That's where, if you listen to the priest, part of the things that we're saying is this: make this transparent. Like I said, because over time, we have a governor who ran a state for 8 years. We didn't see his budgets, his annual budget for 1 year. We don't know what he budgeted for. We don't know what he did. Yeah. And so we know. So when he comes out and tells you, I built this window so that we can get air from the north into the south, you don't know how much that cost. You don't know who the contractors who did that. Everything was done by him, through him, for him, and with him. So we have a situation, and this cuts across several states. So people are doubtful that this money is going to be used for anything. And this is the reason why they have been asking, let's know what you're doing. And also take it further, extend it. Don't just make it maybe 6 months. I don't know how long this palliative thing is going to last anyway. But they're saying make it longer, extend it, ensure that there is transportation for the people. Like Reverend Hayab said, if you provide free logistics for workers, you have your ID card, there are vehicles that at some point that pick you up and all of that. You have reduced the load on these people. It's better off to the 1,500 or 2,000 naira you want to give to them. At least until you can fix what needs to be done. You have taken that burden off them. So they can now say, okay, the government has done something. So based on this, we appreciate this, let the subsidy go. But talking about subsidy going, there's a very interesting conversation we have. And I want us to run around this so we can get it done. Let's quickly get to our next story right now. Yes, this particular conversation. The Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Honorable Benjamin Card, has assured that the 10th House of Representatives would ensure even distribution of interventions by authorities of Niger Delta Development Commission across 9 member states, including Abia, Akwa Ibom, Bayelsa, River, Delta, Edo, Imo, Ondo, and Rivers States. Honorable Carlo gave the assurance during the interactive session with the delegation from Okwa People's Consultative Council, led by its President General Sir Don Obani. While expressing concern over some issues raised by the delegation on the undue marginalization of Okwa as an oil-producing community, Carlo said, going forward, the House will audit the spread of projects and ensure equitable distribution around the 9 states. Earlier, the leader of the delegation, Don Obani, solicited the support of the House leadership towards ensuring equity and fair distribution of developmental projects to Okwa oil-producing communities of Abia State. Ubani said many years of oil exploration and exploitation has impacted negatively their community, making it difficult for farmers in Okwa Federal Constituency to farm effectively due to the diminished fertility of the soil, as well as the destruction of aquatic life. Ubani said there is need for equity, fairness, and justice in the distribution of the developmental project by the NDDC. Now, according to him, this will help check situation that will create youth restiveness in the oil producing community. And here is the report.
I encourage you to continue in maintaining peace in Abia State, in Okwa, and in the Niger Delta. It is a peace that will progress. It is a peace that our unity is enhanced. So it's a step in the right direction that you came, and I want to assure you that what your request has done is to once again beam the light, to touch the light on the oversight functions of the NDDC committee on NDC operations around the 9 states, and especially now in Abia State. We're going to look at their reports. What is it that they did not do well previously? Especially in auditing the spread of projects equitably around the 9 states of the Federation. And I am from Abia, and I'm here to do the speaker. So I'm promising you that as the chairman of the House Committee of the Whole that considers reports of various committees of the House, special interest will be on this issue you have raised going forward. I will always ask questions on how equitably they balance the intervention.
We want to point out the fact that NDDC, Niger Delta Development Commission, is an interventionist agency created or established with the aim of making sure that oil producing areas of the country who have been subjected to all manner of oil pollution, environmental degradation as a result of oil exploration and exploitation, at least will bring fresh air. Today, farmers in Okwa Federal constituency cannot farm effectively again because the fertility of the soil has been diminished because of many years of oil exploration and exploitation. Many of our people are fishermen. Today they cannot fish because oil exploration and exploitation has almost destroyed aquatic life. So there is trouble in the area. Since the federal government has thought it wise to establish the Niger Delta Development Commission, yes, most of the projects that we are earmarked for the area have been abandoned. With the result that if you come into that place, you ask yourself, is this really an oil producing area? So we are here to plead with you and all those that believe in fairness and justice to come to the rescue of our people. We want to point out the fact that...
I appreciate the fact personally that the Deputy Speaker is talking about the importance of ensuring that the NDDC distributes intervention program contracts and what have you equitably, at least among the 9 states of the Niger Delta. And I will tell you why. In fact, one of the statements made by one of the stakeholders, I think it was the Deputy Speaker, is that it will go a long way to ensure that there is peace in the region and, of course, to check youth restiveness. You know, the idea of pushing people to the wall where they have to raise their voice, where you have to frustrate people to the point where they have to raise their voice, raise their arm, carry placards, block your gates, insist that either you do this or we all die here. I honestly think that the government needs to check some of these excesses. Come on. You have your project. You know what should go where. You know you have 9 states. NDDC project, I think, should stop being settlements for politicians. Because that is where the problem is. I have personally been involved in the federal government projects where you see some contractors who shouldn't even be there. Because this job should be given to indigenous professionals who are from that place, who are meant to carry out those projects because they know the terrain well and they know what needs to be done. But guess what? It will be distributed to people who should have no business doing those projects. So the people, the natives, do not know who to hold responsible. If their brother is given a contract and it's made open that their brother is one giving this contract, they know. They can, even if the person doesn't do it, they can refer to their children. See that bad road that killed your father? It was that your uncle that they gave the contract and he stole them because the evidence is there. But when we keep, making this thing look like, because I'm a member of the TPP party, for instance, so you must settle me. You deny the indigenous people, those who should have access to this contract. Those who, look at the East-West Road, for instance. We were in Ogoni about a week. We traveled to Ogoni about a week. Look at the East-West Road. This is after several hearing the news, reading the news, this contract was given to this person. We hope that the House would intervene genuinely, like Right Honorable Benjamin Kano have said, that they will intervene to ensure that the needful is done. That's basically our hope. So we hope that the needful will be done. We hope that somehow these people can understand that there is need to get these things done. And what is the best way to get it done? It's simple. Be transparent with these contracts. Make it open. Vivian was given a contract of 2 billion to fix this school. Put it out there. Let the people know that I ate their money, I didn't fix that school. Let the youth know that they don't need to come and block NDDC gate, that this is the person who should do the job that failed to do it. But when you begin to spread it across political lines, Honorable Dis gave me 2 billion during the election, so I have to settle him. This issue will continue because the truth, you remember off the mic, Senator Fabio now, when we're talking about, okay, where is the NDDC forensic audit report till today? That was done under President Muhammad Buhari. We don't know what that. So I honestly feel that if they can establish a transparent contractual process in the NDDC or in any of the ministries, all government ministries, it will go a long way to check the excesses. But if you don't do that, I would say maybe this is just playing to the gallery.
Oh, well, let's move on to the next on our table this morning. Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention says a total of 84 deaths have been recorded from cholera, while 2,860 people are suspected to have been infected with the disease from January to August 27, 2023. The situation report for weeks 31 to 34 revealed that 25 states across 124 local government areas reported the suspected cases with a case fatality ratio of 2.9%, while describing cholera as an acute diarrheal illness caused by Vibrio cholerae bacteria, adding that people can get sick when they swallow food or water contaminated with cholera bacteria. And the infection is often mild or without symptoms, but can sometimes be severe and life-threatening. NCDC also said in Nigeria, cholera is an endemic and seasonal disease occurring annually, mostly during the rainy season and more often in areas with poor sanitation, while the cholera situation report showed that of the suspected cases since the beginning of the year, age groups lesser than 5 years are mostly affected, followed by the age groups 5 to 14 years in aggregate of both males and females, and had also showed that of all suspected cases, 51% are males and 49% are females. The states that have reported the cases so far in the country are Zamfara, Cross River, Katsina, Bayelsa, Ebonyi, Niger, Abia, Jigawa, Kano, Ondo, Borno, Kaduna, Bauchi, Sokoto, Plateau, Gombe. Others are Oyo, Adamawa, Kebbi, Benue, Rivers, Ekiti, Imo, Osun, and Anambra State, while Zamfara had 787 cases, accounts for 28% of all suspected cases in the country. Of the 25 states that have reported cases of cholera, Obubra local government area, 515 cases in Cross River State accounts for 18% of all suspected cases reported in the country. Well, cholera, this is a serious endemic disease, something that is, we used to hear of cholera when we were small, and it beats my imagination to hear of this again. What we're talking about is not just about the sanitation aspect of it. There are other reasons why this disease have, been a serious disturbance to the populace, to people who are living in certain areas. And then the question is, it behoves on us to also wonder how you can find this disease in places that are also even well kept. We have situations, we have places where even environmentally, the sanitation aspect of it is well taken care of. And yet this is still springing up. We have to look at the health sector, the hospitals. How do we hope to deal with this situation now? How do we hope to deal with this situation now? Going about how far the records have come to speak for itself. Going by the records, how do we go from here?
Well, there's really nothing you and I can do other than to ensure that we practice our basic hygiene, like I've always said to people. As a woman, today's woman, as much as I know it can be difficult, like you have so many bills to pay, but there are things that you shouldn't lack, and those are your wipes. And even for men, wipes is not meant for female alone. Men should learn to carry, that's your office bag you usually carry. Have some of your personal sanitary materials around. You are using the table now. You have a lot of other people who may come in here, use the table. Your hygienic state and yours are not the same. Some people may be careful, some people may not be careful, but I always say people should learn to, make sure that what needs to be done is done timely and properly. How do I mean? Carry out your own hygiene. Make sure you maintain your own hygiene. Don't depend on what the government says. Don't depend on what is said by A, B, C, D person, because the government are humans. Whatever they are doing, it has to be done in such a way to ensure that, everybody is carried. But your personal hygiene, for me, is a critical aspect of the conversation when it comes to cholera. But again, it's the medical professionals. The government needs to do more announcements. The government needs to talk more on this to ensure that everyone is carried along. With the issue of flooding right now, where people just manage to survive and do whatever needs to be done, it's going to be a bit of a challenge. But let's quickly run through this last story. So we just learned a report yet to be fully confirmed, but there are some significance that says that this is coming from the government. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, over the course of his presidency, said that subsidy is gone. However, finding reveals that the federal government paid 169.4 billion naira for fuel subsidy removal. Now, there have been several reports suggesting that the current price stagnation, despite the worsening exchange rate and international crude price crossing $95 per barrel, suggests a return of subsidy. A document by the Federal Accounts Allocation Committee, cited by our reporter 2 days ago, showed that sometime in August 2023, the Nigerian liquefied natural gas paid $275 million as dividends to Nigeria via NNPC Limited. NNPC Limited used $220 million. That is out of the $275 million paid for subsidy, for PMS subsidy in August 2023. The NNPC held back $55 million illegally. Now, the revelation, remember, the revelation by the FAC effectively indicates that the subsidy is clearly back, and NNPC is now talking NLNG dividends to pay the subsidy. Because of our time, we just want to quickly say, a subsidy payment from the last appropriation bill for 2022 was supposed to be, they removed it. It wasn't budgeted for. Yes. Remember Tinubu coming in and making the announcement several that subsidy is gone. So we are wondering right now, the $275 million, amounting to $169 billion, paid for a subsidy removal. What is the government not telling us? what are they not saying? Because if this money comes forth, and from what we learned from the FAAC, that the government is using this to subsidize the petrol. So what exactly are they not telling us? Why are we paying 600 and something naira per liter of fuel? If this amount of money is being disbursed for that, who is receiving it? The $55 million being held back illegally, according to a report by NNPC. I don't know where we're going to in this country. The issues are just everywhere, everywhere. Why do you think we are where we are having this particular conversation right now? If President Tinubu have over time said that they are not paying subsidy, how do you think they can explain this out?
I'm as bewildered and overwhelmed like you are. Someone has to come explain this better than this, because there's no need for us to still be running the rat race again. So we'll get back to this, the rest of
let's hope that, that there will be some explanation about this. This was in the news yesterday. So that, like I said, let's hope that there will be some explanation. The government can somehow explain this, you know, with the sack of some of the key executives, the executive of the NNPC, and we are asking, why is Mele Kyari there? If you need to downsize, if you need to restructure and bring in young people, like the report said, that's fine. So why is the man who led that team still in office? And meanwhile, these people were supposed to resign in 2024. So it's so many shadiness around the NNPC, the oil sector. And we hope, we're still talking about the Exxon Bank, not the Exxon Bank, the Exim Bank loan and the exchange with crude and all of that. We're asking NNPC, you'll have about 400,000 liters. How are you going to pay that $3 billion loan? The IYC, the Niger Deltans are asking these questions. How are you going to do that? And now this story is coming out. There are too many issues around this sector that somehow we don't know how the government intends to do this. But that's much we can do on Blowout this morning. Thank you, everyone, for being part of the conversation. And we'll be back here next week to bring you more conversation on issues that we all need to blow out on.